This is a tool here that we highly recommend that you access. It's our Founders Toolkit. It's on our website. Our website is www.neverstop.co. And there's on here this toolkit tab that brings this up. And basically, this kind of walks you through kind of 4 stages of early stage development for a startup company. I put this up here. This is kind of how we look at starting up, right? You know, I know it seems a little morbid right there, that this valley of death, but however, it is tough, it is hard. When you first get starting out, you have an idea, and your goal is to try to get that idea to product success, which is that dividing line going right through the middle. But you got to do a lot of R&D, you got to do a lot of customer discovery, you have to get out there and prototype, you have to get out there and put a business model around it. This takes months, even years for people to do, and you have to cultivate resources around you so that you can have those tools that you need to kind of move forward. And you do all that just to get to the point of getting to product success, where you can then start asking for serious or material investment. See, a lot of folks, they'll just go out there and just start the business, but they haven't done any of this, so they're starting prematurely. It's very easy to just go downtown. Many people go down to the Shelby County Clerk's office, pay the $47 and say, I have a business, right? But they haven't gone through these steps. So you have to go through those steps, and this outlines it on the website, right? Some of the things that you could use, tools, some things to think about, and real methods to organize your business so that at some point you can pitch for investment, right? And that's what we spend most of our time doing with a lot of the early stage companies, is working with them so they can organize their business, do what is necessary, and then make a pitch for investment, all right? Most of the companies that we are working with are seeking equity investment, right? So if you think about 2 different types of financing, you're thinking about debt financing and you're thinking about equity financing. Debt financing, obviously, if you're going to a bank, right? You tell them, hey, I need a loan for my small business, I'm opening up this shop, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They'll give you the loan if you approved, but then they want their money on the 1st of every month, right? Equity financing, you're reaching out to angel investors or accredited investors where they're providing capital, but they don't want the dollars back, they want to take a stake of your company, right? We typically work with equity investors. Those are the types of companies that we're trying to work with. Even if you're not looking for that type of financing, a lot of these principles still apply. So I encourage you to stay and listen and learn what's going on here. So if you start to scroll on this, and this is open to the public, it starts to walk you through a lot of these different things, right? We call it the 4 Ds, right? The first D is founder development or personal development. A lot of folks say, well, hey, I'm a professional, I've been working in business for a number of years, but you haven't been working in business as a startup or as an entrepreneur. And we have to now start thinking about a lot of those professional development skills and translating them into how we work in the startup world. It is a little bit different. Before you get started, you have to think about things such as your personal situation, right? Many times people come in and say, I just need money, I just need money. Well, wait, are you even ready to start that business yet, right? You have to think about, they say the average amount of dollars to start pursuing an idea, you need about $15,000 to tinker with the idea, meaning do some customer discovery, talk to some potential customers, get out there and start maybe prototyping a few different things and start to put a business model around it. Well, do you have the $15,000 that you can spend and focus on your company full time just to explore some things, right? We're not even talking about really getting into the serious business. Second, what's going on in your homes or your family life, right? Have you talked with your spouses yet to let them know, I'm about to take on this journey, right? This isn't a hobby, this is your life. And if we're not going to take that seriously, then we shouldn't be pursuing it, right? We can't kid ourselves. We have to understand if we are a hobbyist or if we're actually pursuing entrepreneurship as our craft, right? So just keep that in mind when you're making your decisions. I've had people come say, hey, you know what, you're right. Let me put away a little bit of money. Let me talk to my family at home. I'm gonna come back in 6 months and I'm gonna be ready to work. And that's good rather than just starting into it. I had a couple who had just had a baby and they were trying to go through this process and that just wasn't going to work. So know your situation and plan accordingly. As we go through this, the 4 Ds, there's all types of tools on here. But the first one after founder development is customer discovery, all right? And I'll leave this for you to read at another time, but that's going out there and testing for a hypothesis around your business, right? First, is there a problem that you are solving? Have you come up with a solution, an MVP, like this gentleman was talking about, where you have 20% of the features that satisfies 80% of the customers, right? Once you have that, have we thought about the price point, right? And remember, we're talking to customers to get answers and feedback on these things. And still, even if you have a problem, even if you have an MVP, even if you know a price point, you still don't have a business, you still need to think about how you're going to go to market, how you're going to reach them, and also how you fit into the behaviors of your customer. We always advise that you go out and talk to 50 customers in subsets of 10. Take that feedback and your idea starts to change, right? Your idea should never stay the same. It should always be moving and changing. The features should be changing, right? So many people think that it's the best thing right now. No, it's going to change. And if it doesn't change, it's not a good idea, all right? So these are things that you need to be doing just to tee up the prototyping phase, right? And I don't care if you're building a technology company or if you have a nonprofit, you have to run experiments. You have to build how you're going to actually carry out the service or the product. And you spend a deliberate amount of time going through this prototyping phase. And then finally, once you start to build something, you put it in the hands of your customers to get more feedback, right? This is all about getting feedback. It's all about iteration. It's all about expanding. It's all about more iteration. And then once your customers are using it in a beta test, you start to say, I think we're onto something here, and you start to think about how I'm going to put a business model around it. And on here, you scroll through here, there's all types of templates. There's financial documents, there's investor pitch templates, there's dashboards that you can use to help you measure the business. We're a little bit different. We're sometimes the anti-business plan, because before you get to the business plan, there's a lot more work that has to be done, and things are changing so much, you can't just write it in stone just yet, right? That's for later on. If you remember that graph that I showed, the Valley of Death, we get to the business plans a little bit later on in that Valley of Death, but in the early going, we look at other tools that you could possibly use because you're changing all the time. So I want you to think about, as we get into the elevator pitch workshop, where you're at in that process, right? Because that's going to shape your pitch. If you're at product success here in the middle and you think you're ready for investment, well, your elevator pitch is very different than someone who just has an idea in the early stage, right? So know where you are in this process. And it doesn't matter. You can be nowhere. It doesn't matter. You can still have a great elevator pitch. We just want people to have realistic expectations for where they are, okay? So with that being said, let's get into the pitch. So when we think about an elevator pitch, we're thinking about 60 to 90 seconds of where we want to grab someone's attention, where they want to learn more. This isn't to sell them on everything about your business, right? I mean, it's literally if you're on an escalator or in an elevator with someone, what you could say so that by the time they walk out, they say, wait a second, do you have a card? Maybe we should get together. See, too many times we try to cram it all in. We try to tell them everything about our business, but we're not in the environment to do that, right? We just need to grab their attention, okay? So there's 4 main parts to the elevator pitch that we're going to work on today. Now keep in mind, once you become comfortable with your pitch, you can shift it, you can change it, you can add color to it. It doesn't matter to me, but these are 4 things that we recommend that you have in it. So the first thing is the description, right? Think about it. Sometimes it's hard to just start your elevator pitch. Many people just start talking, right? Oh, let me tell you what I'm working on. It's this, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, let's figure out how to describe it. Is it a mobile application that we are building to do these 3 things? Are you building a nonprofit organization that will help kids in the community? You have to start out strong so there's no doubt in the person's mind. If you don't eliminate that doubt with the description in the beginning, they will be wondering what it is you do, and you could be telling them great information down here, but they still don't know exactly what it is. They'll be saying, what are we doing? What are they working on? They'll look at you confused and these types of things. So you have to think, is it a mobile app? Is it a marketing company, right? Do we provide a social media service, right? Are we building a technology for a vehicle? Whatever it might be, you have to think through what that is. And think about it as we go through this. Be able to articulate it. It should be no more than 2 to 3 sentences, all right? No more than 2 to 3 sentences. You should be able to get onto this description and get off of this description within about 20 seconds, okay? We can worry about answering the questions further into the pitch. Remember, we have 60 to 90 seconds to do this. Second, customers. Do we even know who our customer is? See, many people think they know who their customer is, but that's the whole purpose of this customer discovery process I was just describing. You start to realize, actually, we don't even know who our customer is. It's shifting the more that we find out more information. And we have to be okay with that, right? We have to be okay with the customer changing. So we were working with a particular company not too long ago and said, well, who's your customer? They said, well, it's high school kids. Well, that's not good enough. I mean, how many high school kids are there that exist out there in the nation? Are you going to try to go to market on all of those high school kids? No, we need some other criteria, right? So if you think about it, if this is all your high school kids, are you just going to throw darts all over the place and hope that something sticks? Or are you going to say that we want to focus on maybe this quarter, right? And maybe that quarter of the high school kids is only ninth graders who live in these zip codes, whose parents make this much money, who are struggling with this. Okay, well now we're talking, right? Now we're talking, and I still don't even know if that is strong enough, right? But you can see if you just go out there and say we help high school kids, well no, we have to be targeted. Remember, you're going to have to show at some point the problem that we are solving for our customer, right? If you can't show that you're solving a problem, no one's going to pay for it or no one's going to support you. And so that's why you can't just go to market on all the high school kids, right? Because there could be multiple problems going on, right? There's problems all over the place. We want to make sure the customer that we're talking to is the problem that we're trying to solve, okay? So you have to think about, like right now in your heads, you're thinking about your customer. How do you break it down? How are you going to divide it up? What's the demographic? Does money have anything to do with it, right? Geography, right? I mean, you have to think through all these things. Are these people that are always on the web? Are these people that always go into the store? I mean, there are so many different elements here. You have to spend time researching this. You have to do this, all right? And you have to do your research before you even start talking to customers, all right? So be thinking throughout this, not only the description, but the customer that you serve specifically and the problem that you're solving for them, all right? Now, here's the thing. There are many things that we may think is a problem, right? But it may not be the problem for the majority of your customers, right? So I'm hoping that you all have some type of background in what you're trying to pursue, right? If you don't, then we're starting off in an ideal way, right? So I'm hoping you have a little bit of a background in what you're trying to pursue, whether it's actually building it, whether it's actual, maybe you are in that situation yourself as a customer, right? You know, or maybe that's your background, the core business that you're in. Maybe you did that professionally for 10 years or something of that nature. So do your research, do your R&D, learn about the problem. I encourage you learning about problems that exist for your customer before you start inserting your solution. Learn about all the problems. Figure out what's going on in general. Become an expert at your craft, all right? So keep that in mind. You can see now why you don't have to get everything in at the start of your elevator pitch. I mean, just talking about the customer and the problem, that can be very resonating when you're talking to someone, right? Think about it. If you're trying to win over someone's support to sit on your board of directors or to be a mentor to you or provide you a little bit of capital to get started, and they have a familiarity with your customer segment or your problem, you already are starting to hook them in your elevator pitch. All right. Thirdly, you need an example. You need to bring it to life, right? So you've told them the description. We're building this mobile piece of technology that is a matchmaking platform for inner city kids and mentors, all right? We work with kids that are typically 9 to 13 years old who work in underserved communities, right? The problem we solve is the fact that mentoring right now, the failure rate is 50%, right? And that's actually worse off than not having a mentor alone, okay? You see what I mean? Description, customer, problem, right? Now give an example. The example brings it to life, okay? You should be able to articulate an example that brings it to life, and the aha moment goes off in the person's head. This is very important. This example actually can do much better than you trying to get it all in the front, okay? Have an example. Sometimes to get started, do a before and after example, right? What was life before your solution for this customer, and what is life after your solution for that customer, right? Think about what is versus what could be, right? It doesn't have to be before and after, but that's just an easy way to kind of get it started. Think about the problem you're trying to solve. Man, I just had this problem, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, I got stuck in line, I was over here, et cetera, et cetera. Now I use this piece of technology, it took me 20 seconds. I was able to just hit 3 buttons, do this, I was done, I was able to get other things done in my day. whatever it is, you know your idea better than I do. I'm just going off the cuff, but think about what you're delivering and be able to articulate it. Now, I tend to think we can spend a little bit more time on this. So when I said 20 seconds up here, maybe 30 seconds, maybe 40 seconds on the example, if the example really brings it to life, all right? So keep that in mind. Don't worry, we're gonna practice this and we'll come back, we'll practice, we'll come back. The ask is the fourth piece. What are you asking for? If you're not asking for anything, why are you even talking, right? I mean, at the end of the day, let's face it, we said most of the ideas in here are early stage ideas, so you're probably not going to ask for, hey, we need $50,000 to go do this or do this, because you know what? I don't think we've done this yet, right? You have to think about what are you worthy? What stage of the business that you are in, and what resource are you worthy of, right? I know we all want the dollars to go do things that we want to do, but are we worthy of the dollars yet, right? So keep that in mind, and it doesn't have to be money, right? You can think about other things. Right now, you might need to do some R&D. You might need access to resources, right? You might need access to customers. I need to go talk to my customer segment. Now, this is hard. People think, oh, I'm just gonna go out this weekend and talk to my 50 customers. Really? How hard do you think it really is to find a ninth grader, right, with this demographic, underserved community, who parents are willing to let you talk to their kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? It actually requires work, right? So what do we end up doing? We end up settling, right? And we just go talk to our buddies, or we just go talk to the kids that we do know. So now we're talking to 12th graders, right? Who are maybe living out in Germantown. Well, that's not helping you. That's a different customer segment. It actually requires real work. You might need to ask for the opportunity to get in front of your customer. You might need a mentor who is proficient in what you are building. If you are building something technical and you're not a technical person, you might need to find a technical person. These are all things you can be asking for before money, right? But you treat them with the same respect and attitude as if you were asking them for money. You're asking them for time. Time is precious for people. So think about what you are asking for, right? Think about the process and the stage that you're in and what you're going to need. These are things that we have to make sure we close the loop on. Does us no good to go through all these different things and leave this out, right? We want to make sure that we put it out there. Now, here's the key. The key to this is the flow, right? Think about it. If someone asks you, where do you work or where'd you go to school, or you don't even think, you just talk, right? You're not even having to think about that. It just comes out, and now you can adjust to the conversation at hand. What happens is with this pitch, we get so focused on this pitch that we're not even reading the person that we're talking to. Their eyebrow could have went up when you said something up here, but you didn't notice it because you memorized it and you're just trying to get it out. No, sometimes you can deviate from the pitch. If you notice their eyebrow goes up because of something you said, oh, do you have some familiarity with that? Oh, actually, yeah, my son is doing this and this. See, the whole key to the pitch is to know it so well, like the back of your hand, you can go off script at any time you want, right? You can read the person that you're talking to. You have to do that. You have to take advantage of every opportunity. You may not get too many opportunities, all right? The other piece to this is repetition in the beginning. If we don't practice, it doesn't matter, right? And what I mean is like every day. If you're seriously going to pursue this, right, let's consider this first. Your elevator pitch right now, many of you are early stage. It's your business, right? Think about it. You can't say, well, hey, I've already talked to 50 customers exactly, and we've already eliminated our risk around market fit. Or, hey, we've already prototyped based on that customer discovery, and we know this is the product that we want to raise money on. Or, hey, we raised $300,000 and we hired 3 people and we're moving forward. If we can't say those things because we haven't done that much yet, you have your pitch. And your pitch is your next step to securing a resource, right? People are going to believe in your pitch and they'll say, you know what, I got a little extra time, let's get together for coffee, I'll share with you my knowledge of the industry, right? Those are things that you can be doing. Your pitch is your business from this point forward. So are you practicing every day? Literally, I don't care when you wake up in the morning, in your routine, in the shower, in the car, right? What do we have to do? And also keep in mind, you're gonna have different pitches. Because let's face it, we have different customers. Life is not that easy where you just have one customer, right? You might have that one customer that you finally serve, but you might have other customers that give you access to that customer. Think about it, I mean, Facebook has multiple customers. They have the user who's on there, right? And they have the advertiser that's on there, right? Well, they have to do this for both. You might have 4 or 5 pitches, right? This is why we don't have enough time to just dilly-dally. We need to get into it, all right? So think about that, repetition. When are you going to practice it? How many pitches are you going to have? And that comes down to how many customers are you going to have. It's very important, all right? So let's take a few minutes here. What I want us to do is, I don't care who you talk to anybody next to you or what have you. I want you to first work on the description, right? Literally, I just want you to think of the 2 to 3 sentences that bring to life your business, right? It doesn't matter. I told you before, hey, we're a venture development organization that works with early stage ideas. We help accelerate those ideas into startup companies, and we help surround them with an ecosystem of support resources to help them grow, right? How would you do that for your business? A mobile app, a this, whatever it is, right? So just take about 2 minutes, think about it, and then I want us to take another 2 minutes and talk to the person next to us. I want us to share what we think our description is. And then we're going to layer on top of it our customer and our problem. So let's do this right now. Literally, take 2 minutes, think about your description. If you have to write it down, write it down. If you can just say it, just say it. We're only talking 2 to 3 sentences, and then I'll let you know when we can talk to people. So first, think on your own, okay? So let's go ahead and start.